Welcome. This is Anton Guinea from the Guinea Group of companies. So let's get into the presentation and let's talk about some of the content that I'd like to share with the wind turbine industry. I've actually been to wind turbine construction sites and I've sort of seen what goes on in it, and it's just an amazing thing to see the sheer scale, the size of wind turbines. They're amazingly big bits of kit, and what I see is I see big, heavy bits of kit and I see massive, massive structures, so tall. So I see a whole range of major risks, major hazards. And so let's talk about those, because what I really don't want for anyone in the wind turbine industry is to become a statistic. Now, the reason that I do workplace health and safety, or that I'm involved in workplace health and safety still, is that I was a statistic. I was a stat, and it's a long time ago now, though it doesn't feel that long. It doesn't actually feel like it was that long ago. It feels like yesterday, because when these things happen, they get lodged in our hippocampus or our memory, or even our amygdala, the limbic part of our brain, and it's really, really hard to let go of them. And this is what I don't want for you. I don't want you or anyone in the wind turbine industry, construction industry, to become a stat. If you are someone that doesn't like gory photos, now's the time to look away, because I'm about to show you what I look like and what my hands look like when I was badly burnt as a very young man. Look away now if you don't like gory photos. These are what my hands look like. And I was blown up in a switchboard. And if you reach out to the Guinea Group, you'll find us on the web, or anton@theguineagroup.com.au. reach out and I can tell you or your teams more about this particular incident and why it happened. But really what it is, and I'm not going to labor too much on stats today. Stats are not the thing that we're going to talk about. What I really want to do in relation to stats is tell you this, that there's one thing in your organization, there's one thing in your business, there's one thing in wind turbines and wind turbine construction that can drive the stats down, that can make the industry a safer one. And we can get the green arrow on that graph, not the red one. Now, here's a quick poll. If we were doing this online, we could poll this. Do you think now in 2022, year to date, we've had more workplace fatalities in Australia than year to date last year? Have we had more workplace fatalities year to date this year, or did we have more last year? And so what I'm looking for is, what do you think the trend is? Are we trending upwards, or are we sort of trending downwards from a safety perspective? And I'll give you a hint because they're sitting behind my video there. I'm going to give you two numbers. So those two numbers are 60 and 51. Now, one of those is year to date fatalities 2021. And one of those is year-to-date fatalities 2022. See if you can work out which one's which. Now, in wind turbines, in the construction industry in general, the one thing that we know is this, that leaders are promoted because they're good craftspeople. Leaders are promoted because they're really good at their craft. And I get that. I understand it. Remember I said before, there's one thing that will change safety in the wind turbine industry. I can tell you what it is. It's leadership. And it's safety leadership in particular, because safety leadership is a key skill that crafts people, as good as they are at their craft, may not have. Craftspeople get elevated or promoted out of sometimes convenience. Craftspeople get promoted because someone needs a supervisor, a team needs a supervisor, not necessarily because that craftsperson is the best person to lead that team forward and to lead them safely. Now, if leaders are the one bit of the organization, or the one element of the organization that's going to make a difference to workplace health and safety and drive the stats down in the wind turbine industry, what is it that they need to do? What do they need to be good at? Leaders need to know that it's not about the big bits. It's not about the It's not about the height. It's not about the lifting. It's not about the moving. It's not about the bolting. It's about the humans doing that work. It's about the humans that are there, that are interacting with the material, with the plant, with the equipment. It's about the people. So, given that's the case, and that people are the craft as leaders, leaders need to be good at that. They need to be good at humans. And what they need to be able to do is help their teams feel safe. Help their teams feel safe. Now, a lot of you out there wouldn't be expecting me to say that. You wouldn't be expecting me to say feel safe. You'd be expecting me to say work safe. And I get that. I get that working safe is the thing. What we know is that psychological safety is as important as physical safety. What we know is that safety climate is as important as safety culture. Climate changes a lot. Climate's like an AC sine wave. Culture's a little bit more stable. And so when leaders get that, when they really lock into the fact that psychological safety, and what that means is connection, what that means is inclusion, what that means is asking people for their ideas and then listening when they provide them. And it's about allowing people to step into their role and to know that people know their role better than the leader does. Because the leader's craft is not lifting heavy things or being at heights. The leader's craft is helping the team do their job correctly. Now, if that's the case, when is it hard? When is it the hardest for leaders to lead and to help people be at their best? When the pressure's on, when we are under pressure as humans, when we're under pressure as leaders. And the challenge is here to be really in conscious control. What do I mean by conscious control? You could call it emotional control if you want, though it's more than that. It's about controlling your state so that you can control your behaviors, so that you can control the situation. Control your state so that you can control your behaviors and control the situation. That's what conscious control is. And it's under pressure, or when the pressure is on, is when leaders need to step into conscious control. They need to step into psychological safety and caring for the people in their team, listening to the people in their team, allowing the people in their teams to shine. Now, here's a little bit more statistical info for you, if you'd like it. There has been, and this comes out of some research from Hoffman, Burke, and Zohar, who studied 100 years, like 100 years worth of data to really unpack what it means to improve safety over time. And here's their 5 findings. Here's the 5 findings from Hoffman, Burke, and Zohar from 100 years of research into workplace health and safety stats. The first one is, yes, there's been a strong improvement over time and strong trend, absolutely. Yes, we've reduced workplace fatalities significantly from where they were 100 years ago to where they are now. Yes. Individual differences do predict safety at work. Now we're talking nature and we're talking nurture here. We're talking individual differences, and this is psychological. So if you read that, there's some psychology behind that. And that's the type of personality traits that people show up with. And as a leader, and reach out for more information, because I just don't have time to go into the ocean: openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism that people show up with. And again, they're nature or nurture. And some of those personality traits are more tended to work safely, and others are more tended to risk taking. Individual differences as well as frontline supervision. So yes, individual differences from humans makes a big difference. Here's the thing, and I've highlighted this in green: frontline supervisors are the thing. For the last 100 years, Hoffman, Burke, and Zohar have found that one of the biggest things that has improved safety over the last 100 years are frontline supervisors. And that's really cool to know. Now, what they've also found is that safety training works. Of course, safety training works. Like we know that, but it's nice to see it in stats. It's nice to see it in the data. And again, here's that safety climate and safety culture. It's not just about working safe, it's about feeling safe. And the interesting thing about this is that here's a quote from that particular study, and I might put a link to that study somewhere with this particular package of information, and I might put in the comments, let's say this ends up on YouTube, or I might give it to Kieran, who's running this event. Reviews have found that individual training efforts improve safety behaviors and reduce accidents. Absolutely. This is the key. Supervisor training also positively impacts the safety outcomes for individual workers. Supervisor training. Leadership training. My mission today is to convince you, is to plead to a degree, to say, please help your leaders get trained up, get to the level they need to be in relation to their leadership skills. It's not about a crane ticket leadership. Leadership is about a people ticket, not a crane ticket. And here's another report, some more research, and this is from Mullen and Kellaway. What they report is that even though safety training works, which we heard about from Hoffman, Burke and Zohar, this is what Mullen and Kellaway have found. And this report's from 2009, that so we could do for leaders, we could do safety leadership training. What Mullen and Kellaway found is that great, even if you don't do safety leadership training, do transformational leadership training. Transformational leadership training will have the same impact on reducing workplace incidents, safety-wise, as safety leadership training does. Let me repeat that again. Transformational leadership training will reduce workplace incidents as much as safety leadership training will. Really, really, really important distinction. And the message is this, that whether it's the Kellaway report or the Zohar, Hoffman and Burke report, leadership training matters. Sad part is we've had leaders come through our training programs after 30 years of leadership and didn't know leadership training existed. Their words were, Anton, I didn't know leadership training was a thing. Was a thing. It's a thing. So does it work? Here's a comment from one of our clients who came through one of our safety leadership programs. I'm amazed at how much value I got from the program, from the one-on-ones, because yes, we did some one-on-ones, and from the 24/7 support. Yep, nothing was ever too much trouble. Over the course of 1 year, I feel like I have reduced my leadership learning curve by at least 10 years. By at least 10 years. It saved a lot of uncomfortable situations and painful lessons. I've gained so much insight so quickly into how the human mind works and reacts. And thank you to this particular leader whose first name starts with R. Does it work? Did that leader got value? And that was a new leader. Now, let me unpack for you now, if I could, what this looks like, what leadership under pressure really looks like. So what are the skills that it takes for leaders when they are under pressure, when they're struggling, when there's a time constraint, when there's a schedule constraint, when there's a cost constraint, all those other constraints or pressures that leaders face on a daily basis, like the leaders at Metricon who are suffering through a real struggle, another construction company who are really struggling to stay viable. And please read the media today about their leaders really struggling with pressure, and a quick condolence to their CEO, Mario Bison, who lost his life recently and unexpectedly. And so, you know, leadership under pressure is a big deal at all levels of the organization. Here's the thing. This is what we need to do for our teams. We need to stay in control as leaders. We need to exercise control. What does that mean? Remember I talked before about state, behavior, and situation. State, behavior, and situation. I would love to know now, and I've just put a poll question up there, and just have a think about this for a second. What is your level of emotional control? 1 being a low, 5 being high. So once the pressure's on, if you are in a really pressure-packed situation, how good are you at staying in control? How good are you at keeping your behavior in control and then keeping the situation in control because you can control your state? I'll be interested to know. Maybe put it in the comments section below. Wherever this video is, there will be a comment section. I'd love to know. Number 2 is care factor. Care factor for the human. The human comes first. And the thing about care factor is, if you're looking for 2 words, which you've already talked about today, here's the 2 words: psychological safety. Psychological safety. They're the 2 words that will help you when it comes to care factor. Listening to your teams, helping them feel heard and valued. Team members that aren't heard are hurt. Team members that aren't heard are hurt. Not every one of their ideas is going to fly. Still, we need to listen to those. There'll be some gold in them. The teams know their jobs better than we do as their leaders. And finally, courage. Courage to trust. If our teams know our jobs better than we do as the leaders, we need to trust them to do that work, to do their jobs, and to tell them why it is that safety is important to us. To tell them why it is in the wind turbine industry, for example, it's important to get this project done. Tell them why it is the purpose of our work, or what's our vision, what's our, as a leader, why do you do leadership? Tell your team why you do leadership. And if you don't know why you do leadership, how are they ever going to know? And how are they going to buy in? Yes, I know these construction projects are short term. And I hear all the time, Anton, we can't build a culture in a short-term project. I think you can if you try hard enough. If you have the courage to trust, to tell, and then to try new things safely. And of course, in the middle there, what we end up with is we end up with a safe space emotionally, and then a safe space physically. So we end up with physical health and safety as well as psychological health and safety. And what we end up with is our team members feeling safe. Isn't that a beautiful photo of wind turbines? I love that. I've got it on 2 screens actually. So if I'm looking that way, I'm seeing a beautiful photo of wind turbine. It must be taken on dusk or on dark, on sunset. Now, let's circle back to the stats that we started with today. 60 or 51. And I think you'd probably be aware that 60 is the amount of workplace fatalities we've had this year. 51 with the amount of workplace fatalities we've had in Australia year to date. Now, way too many. If you're looking for the construction industry fatality stats, we know that there have been 3 fatalities in construction this year in Australia, and that's opposed to 6 this time last year. So we're on the improve in the construction industry, though those stats go up and down each year. So it'd be interesting. Let's hope we can get that to 0 one day, because that's all of our goals. Now, very quickly, as we finish this presentation, how do you help your leaders get ready for success? How do you help your leaders lead under pressure? You reach out, and if it's not us, reach out to someone else, please. Help your leaders become great leaders. Help them create psychological safety and physical safety. Help them create control, care factor, and courage, the 3 C's. And if you want to find us, please reach out. Please go to that link there on the bottom of the slide. It's LinkedIn. So you can go to the Guinea Group. You can email us at the team, or you can find me on LinkedIn personally. So just go to Anton Guinea on LinkedIn. I hope the audience gets some value from this particular session. Thank you.